And we're live. So good to see you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, and you are at This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. Today, we're going to be doing some members-only Sunday night Q&As with the fans. We got some questions. We got some comments. We're going to be going over. Kind of want to touch base on a few things before we get things started today. So make sure that you guys like and subscribe. Make sure that you guys also join the membership. Then also you guys that are on TikTok, you guys make sure that you follow us. We got a follow challenge up there right now. So we're going to try to meet this goal of, well, we should be trying to do smaller goals, but aim high, right? So we're trying to meet this goal of 100,000 subs on TikTok. Trying to see if we can beat out our current 12,000 followership on YouTube. And we're going to be probably running another challenge like that on Twitch. But in the meantime, for you guys on TikTok, make sure that you guys hit that follow button. You guys that are watching us on Twitch, make sure that you also hit that follow button. Really appreciate that. We have a membership store in Twitch as well as in YouTube. So I strongly encourage you guys to go ahead and take a look at that if you're on Twitch or if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook or TikTok, in the now it's in the bottom right corner, there is a subscription button for the YouTube platform. If you click that button, it will take you to YouTube and allow you to subscribe, and then you can just come back and watch us on TikTok. But it'll notify you 30 minutes before we go live so that you'll be able to enjoy and interact with us on the podcast. Those of you that are on the YouTube side of things and the Twitch side of things, we have just dropped a link in the comments. So if you guys are interested in jumping onto the show and speaking live, you can do so through that link. You just approve the mic, approve the camera, and it will get you right on into the green room. We've confirmed that you're over the age of 18, bring you up onto the live podcast, and you can have real-time conversation with us, or you guys can enjoy giving us the information that you want to give us through the chat. Either way is fine, but there is a little bit of a delay on the chat. So one thing I wanted to point out, though, was in the interest of your statements and comments, make sure that you guys throw down on a super likes and super emojis and special thanks, because that will show us low love on the platform and give us the ability to maintain and run and improve the platform to provide you guys with better quality content. Beyond that, yeah, that's pretty. Oh, no, I'm almost forgetting, because as I see you guys coming in on TikTok, I appreciate y'all coming in on TikTok. Before we get started with the rotation of we appreciate that, wise guy. See you coming in. That before we start on our rotation of questions, comments from the fans, I just want to make sure that you guys know that we are live 7 days a week. So we encourage you guys to come and join us. 9 Eastern, 8 Central, 5 Pacific. And we have in most of our bios on most of our platforms different links to different platforms, so that if you guys were interested in coming to see what we had going on, that you had the ability to go ahead and do that. So we strongly encourage you guys to stop by, say what's up, shoot the breeze with us for a little bit. Also, if you guys have any comments or concerns, any statements or questions that you want us to ask, or if you have a shout out that you want us to throw down on the show, as long as it's appropriate, we open forum, open discussion on this platform. We talk about just about everything. We also get into volatile conversations, as long as we're not hate speech towards any specific group. So, whatever we're talking about, we're going to go ahead and iron it out. So I strongly encourage you guys to jump in and participate for those intellectual conversations. Is typically the ones we try to promote, not so much hate speech or just bashing any individual group. So just remember that. If you have a disagreement where you disagree with what we have to say, I would prefer that you place your disagreement in an appropriate fashion. So the little house on the hood, my boy, let's get started while he in there. So make sure that if you have a response or a comment that you just go ahead and throw that response or comment in there in an appropriate fashion, even if you disagree. Because I mean, I'm going to give you guys respect on your opinions. I expect you to do the same for everyone else on the platform, including myself. Beyond that, it is pretty much an adult platform, so there is going to be some profanity going on here. So don't worry, I'm not going to block you, ban you, kick you out because you used a couple of curse words. So, but at the same time, we're again still trying to maintain a level of mutual respect to one another while we're communicating. So just make sure that we keep that under wraps. Now that we've covered all of the morning announcements, check out our merchandise stores and then check out our franchise items, not franchise items, what the heck, affiliate items. Make sure you take a look at those things. Besides that's all I have for morning announcements. Let's go ahead and get to it, which would kind of get us under wraps with this particular. We got some pretty decent ones this week.
I matched with the same girl that rejected me in person. What should I message her on Tinder? I went to a bar and started talking to this girl who was really cool and beautiful. I ended up giving her my number, but she never called or texted. My friend ended up actually seeing her again and asked why she never contacted me, and that's when she told him that she wasn't interested. Today I matched with her on Tinder and was wondering what I should message her, assuming that she won't message first like most women. Should I mention or previous encounter, or just act like I don't know her? Or maybe just so, don't I know you from somewhere?
If you want to engage this girl on, because this is one of the worst parts about the dating world these days, is that we have the expectation of gratification, and it's instant gratification. So the problem that we have is that the overly inflated egos of individuals, regardless of whether it's male or female, from the exceedingly large quantity of contacts that they get on social media, their egos are beyond their rational expectations, which means that they hold themselves to higher levels of unrealistic expectations. And that bodes to be a problem. And the reason why that bodes to be a problem is because now they're in person, face to face, they are going to shut you down and reject you more often than not, because they know that they can get a hookup from their cell phone, as opposed to the real life in-person interactions with somebody that is interested in them, as opposed to them being interested in somebody. Now, again, we also have to remember that American culture, women are able to play possum until the man approaches, and then the woman can analyze and judge the man before deciding whether or not to engage the man. And then by judging the man, she's able to determine if this man would suit her expectations before she gets to check out what kind of attitude or behavior he has on the first date. So the way he looks, the way he carries himself, attire, how much money he makes, are all, in some situations, deciding factors as to whether or not there will be a first date. If you have the appeal that she's looking for, you're reasonably attractive and wearing attire that she's not objective to, then it's highly likely in those situations that she will at least entertain you enough to find out what you do for a living, how much money do you make, do you own a car, what kind of job do you have, stuff like that, to determine if you can afford to provide her with the lifestyle that she wants, not the lifestyle that she has. Okay. Now, if she's able to make that determination from first observation, then she will go out with you on a first date, and then she will get to see, like, how much are you willing to spend on her on this date, which doesn't show you how well you will treat her. It just shows her how loose your pockets are, how deep your pockets are. And then if she likes the kind of spending that you provide to her, then she will definitely continue to interact with you until you guys establish the type of bond and connection that would lead to a commitment of some kind that would extend to the, reasonably distant future. Now, this girl saw you and wasn't interested in you. There's no reason for you to contact or communicate her. The funny thing is that on these dating apps, we have impulsive selection. And the impulsive selection is that you look at the photo, and in and of itself, the photo, whether or not it's a good photo or a bad photo, whether or not the person in the photo is attractive enough for you to say, yeah, he or she is cute. That is the magnitude of whether or not you get a swipe left or a swipe right. You get a check mark or an X, whether or not you get an approved or disapproved. That is the full extent of the algorithm. So when you say that you guys are a match, if she was thumbing through, and you got to remember, you guys are on a social media app with an algorithm. If she was thumbing through photos and she's seen a few guys that was less desirable to her, then she came across your photo, and then she's like, okay, this guy looks pretty sharp. Does not remember you from Adam. She clicks the like button, keeps going. She just thought the photo was okay. That doesn't mean that she thinks you're okay. These algorithms will send accounts and profiles to the user that similarly match the expectations based on declaration. This is the other problem we have with social media dating, is because your persona of who you are is based off of what you put on the app. Doesn't necessarily have to be you. You could be a 300-pound, 70-year-old man in the Bronx claiming to be an 18-year-old Filipino girl, and you wouldn't know until first contact. So luckily for you, you know that this is a real person, but this person was not positive with you on first engagement. Should you be petty and try to interact with this girl again after she rejected you, and then kind of rub it in her face a little bit that she wasn't attracted to you in person, but she was attracted to you on the app? No. Should you message her in the thing and, oh, don't I know you from somewhere? No. And why is that? First, you're wasting your time. If she rejected you in person, but then liked your photo on a social media platform, dating app, she still is not interested in you. So if she forgot that she rejected you once before and you remind her of that, she's going to get the, oh yeah, get out attitude. You're not going to get brownie points where she's going to apologize because she gave you more of a chance on a dating platform than what she gave you in real life, and come to find out that you are the kind of guy that she wants. Women's type, men's type, not just women, men's type is the type of person that they desire, not the type of person that they need. So the person that you desire is more often than not unrealistic expectations. So as a man, you might want a woman that's overly sexualized. You might want a woman that's adventurous and accepting and easygoing. But then when you get the woman who is a yes woman, doesn't have her own opinion, who always likes to party, who's, if you don't have time to sleep with her, she's sleeping with somebody else because she's got a high sex drive. Your desire to sample this type of person is not the same as the fact that you actually need a more stable and structured person where you guys have a moderately reasonable similar sex drive, that you guys have the ability to make time for one another and choose to make time for one another, that you guys have the ability to love and respect each other. She is able to make intellectual decisions. She is able to be a responsible adult, but she is not overpowering you with authority. She's not trying to dominate you and control you in the relationship. what you need versus what you desire is two different things. Women have the same way. They want a rich man, but the rich men don't respect women. You want to get a man that will respect you. You want to get a man that will love you and care for you to the best of his ability. You don't want to get a man who can take care of you and 13 other women, and you have to share him with 13 other women because he's got 13 women on a payroll. He can afford to pay for all of y'all and your children. You want him to have you as the only woman. The type of man that is going to stick to one woman is the type of man that can only afford one woman. The type of man that can afford multiple women is going to be the type of man that will have multiple women, whether you like it or not. So, in this particular situation, women want a rich man so that women do not have to struggle. Those women that want a rich man, instead of getting a man that can maintain and bring stability and keep peace, when they chase that unrealistic expectation and then they get that rich man and then that man mistreats them and uses them up, then they're in a compromising situation where they're not able to get the things that they really wanted out of that relationship. Now, on the flip side, though, you get that guy who will treat you like gold and do the best that he can for you. You're probably going to have to pitch in on that because that guy's not making a lot. That guy he's doing the best that he can, though, but he's not making a lot. He's not balling out of control. So since that is the compromise, because rich men are not going to respect women and the men that respect women are not rich, I find it more uniform if a woman went and got a man that respected her than to got a man that was rich. Because if you get a man that respects you, then you would be able to do what you got to do. And whether you're a career woman or not, you would have a man that would treat you like gold. And that's the key factor here. That is the point of the whole endeavor, is that you have a man that will treat you like gold. So the interesting part about this that I look at a lot of the times is that we have been trying for a long time to get to get the right partner and get the right spouse, but we very rarely think about what we actually need. So when a woman says, "Oh, I'm not interested in you because you're not my type," you're not her dream guy. And that goes back to your question about, well, if she linked up with you on the dating app, should you link up with her in person? Nah. Because you're not her dream guy. You're not the guy that she imagines seeing herself dating on a regular basis. She just looked at your photo and she thought that you were reasonably attractive in that particular photo, which is a huge difference. Now, when she decides to look for stability, that's when she'll be like communicating with people like you and saying, yeah, that's the guy that I want. Does that make sense? So let's go ahead and touch on the next question.
A girl I've dated twice sent me this text. Long story short, I met a girl on Hinge, and we went on 2 dates. Things were pretty good, and we talked all the time. Our schedules didn't really align, so it was difficult to see her often. I worked 12-hour shifts Monday through Friday, and she worked overnight shifts on random days of the week. We live 1 hour away, and she's the type that wants to plan dates in advance, and I'm more spontaneous. Only been talking for like 2 months, but I really enjoyed her and planned to figure out how to make this work between us. She then sent me this text below after ignoring me for like 4 to 5 days. How should I respond? It hasn't been intentional. If I'm being honest, I just feel like I don't have the capacity for dating right now. I was going to call you the other day and talk to you about it, but I've been so exhausted.
Okay. So you guys don't have really appreciate that. Thank you very much. uh, what we're looking at is you have this person that you're interested in, and the person's not really doing much for you. You guys do not have the kind of relationship that blends together. You have a busy schedule, she's got a busy schedule, and she's telling you that she's exhausted and she's not, able to really focus on a relationship. This happens. You have people that tend to have a very, very complicated lifestyle. And because they have a very complicated lifestyle, it is important for them to remember that you should definitely, not be inconvenienced by the stuff that they got going on. And if you're in that particular type of situation where the other person is telling you that they got too much chaos in their life and they do not have time to invest in what you've got going on, then the truth is they do not have time to focus on what you got going on. And with all due respect, instead of you being in the type of relationship where you feel neglected, you feel that she's not giving you the attention that you need, you should probably be more recognizing the fact that it's not her time. Now, I know they got some guys that say, oh, you should be friends. Nah. She ain't got time, bro. You don't got time. You already said you're doing 12-hour shifts. Sometimes you're working overnight. Like, this is y'all need to find somebody that's more in tune with your schedule. Until you can change your schedule, you need to find somebody that's more in tune with your schedule. Because if you're working a 12-hour day and sometimes you're working overnight because it's a 12-hour shift, you're either working throughout the day and then sleeping at night, or you're working throughout the night and then sleeping in the day. So you're only going to be awake 4 to 6 hours out of the day because your sleep schedule is going to suck. And if you're working 12-hour days, 3 days a week at 36 hours, you might have 4 days off. But if you're putting in 40 hours a week, 40 plus hours a week where you're working 12-hour days, that sucks. I used to do that when I was young. And I can tell you that them 2-3 days off that you got, you ain't trying to do nothing, bro. You sleeping for a whole day, actually. And then the day after that, you start trying to get around and get stuff done. So if she doesn't have the availability for you, bro, just accept that. Don't take offense to it. Yeah, I would prefer for her to tell me that it ain't her time than it is for her to string me along. And then I'm wondering, why is the relationship not being successful when I'm making all these sacrifices to make the relationship successful? Does that make sense? All right, let's go ahead and jump in on another one.
Found messages proving my husband 27-year-old wouldn't cheat, but I am a 26-year-old female and still feel betrayed. How should I go about this? My husband and I have been together for almost 3 years, married for 6 months, and I'm 22 weeks pregnant with our first child. My husband is very loving, supportive, and affectionate, and I know he's going to be an amazing father. Yesterday, I saw my husband laughing at something on his phone, and when I asked him what it was, he just said it's nothing and to not worry about it, and sat beside me and kissed my forehead. Normally, he would show me, and we would have a little laugh together, but not this time. I couldn't get it out of my head, and I ended up looking through his phone when he was in the shower last night and found messages between him and a female coworker. Up till a month ago, everything was professional and only relevant to work, but she initiated some personal conversations asking things about our marriage, asking about our sex life, the pregnancy, and 2 weeks ago, she directly offered to sleep with my husband. I checked the dates, and the switch in her tone lines up with a team dinner that my husband and I went to when I met this coworker for the first time. My husband turned her down every single time, and he trolled and made fun of her attempts to get with him. For example, my husband would respond with things like, "Didn't your mother teach you to stay away from married boys?" And, "Maybe if you put in the energy and effort you use in trying to seduce me into your job, you might actually get promoted." She also insulted me a few times, calling me things like chubby, fat, ugly, etc., and my husband would just say things like, "I'm going to go kiss my chubby wife now." I feel betrayed by this. He's been entertaining someone else's attempts to get with him despite the fact she was trying to undermine me and finding amusement in it. I know he has a side of him that finds humor in everything, but I would expect that he would shut this down immediately without making jokes out of it. How should I deal with this?
Man, your ass is petty as fuck. I'm just sitting over here looking at the fact that this man is dedicated to you. He's not trying to take somebody else's advances. While you're pregnant, you got your mood swings, and he's putting up with your mood swings. He's got some other woman that's interested in him, and he's rejecting her. He got to work with this woman. And you have to understand that this is his job. So now this man has a problem. And the problem is that if he mistreats her, he could get in trouble on his job. The other problem is that if he goes and brings this up at his job, he could be mistreated by the other women on his job. And then his job is no longer a pleasant place to be. Because people don't really respect men saying, oh, she's harassing me. And likewise, they're not going to do anything to her if this is a first time occurrence and they're like, hey, look, Brad doesn't want you to be hitting on him off the clock. Could you cut it out? That's all they're going to do. So now you've got this girl that's staring daggers at you that's now trying to sabotage your career because not only did you turn down her sexual advances, you also got her in trouble with the job, but the job isn't going to fire her. Now, if the roles were reversed, a woman goes up and tells the boss, oh, he's sexually harassing me, he's propositioning me for sex, and look at all these text messages, they would fire him on the spot. But a woman does that, they're not going to do that. And because they're not going to do that, she's going to still be on the job. And he's got to put up with her negative behavior because he got her in trouble on the job with her decision to try to link up with him. So this is one of the reasons why we're saying that his position is actually the best way possible. He's already told her no. He's already told her he's not interested. He's already told her that she should take the effort that she's putting into trying to hook up with him and take that effort and put it into doing a better job on the job. So he's not only telling her that she's not worth his time, he's also telling her that she's not even a good employee. So there isn't anything else that he can say besides leave me alone and don't talk to me anymore. But if this is his coworker, sometimes she covers his shifts. Sometimes he's got to bring her in to cover somebody else's shift so that his job isn't hard. He's not going to burn bridges on his job because you being petty. You understand that he's not entertaining this woman. You understand that he's not going to cheat on you with this woman. He is not engaging in flirtatious or sexual misconduct with this woman. So since he is not entertaining it by responding to it sexually or in any way, shape, or form inappropriately, you should respect the fact that it is nothing. I said before on the show that if a woman goes through your phone looking for problems, the relationship is already dead. You going through this man's phone looking for problems, your relationship is already dead. Now he come out of the shower, he see you going through his phone, you start harassing him about this girl that he is not entertaining. So he's doing the right thing. But because you want him to shut her down and all this other stuff, that you're going to treat him like garbage because he didn't go sleep with the girl. But he didn't block her phone number because he got to work with her. He's got to talk about work with her. He's got to get her to do the work. You're going to get mad at that. Bro, leave that shit alone. The fact is that a man will leave his phone unlocked or accessible to you because he trusts you. You're going to go through his phone to find problems so that you can be pissy. You're going to mistreat him. You are going to cause him to no longer trust you. You are not trusting him because he's got a woman that's making a pass at him that he's not interested in, that he told her no. And then you are now going to make him feel bad about it because he told her no, but he didn't delete the text messages. You know what that's going to cause? If he doesn't break up with you, that's going to cause him to delete every text message that comes across his phone and then go into the reserves and delete those text messages so that you do not know what he's talking about with other people. You will build up a wall of distrust where he will start doing things to keep you from finding out so that you won't be an asshole about stuff that he's not doing wrong. You will create a deceitful person because he will be keeping secrets from you because he doesn't want any drama. He doesn't want unnecessary bullshit. So if it ain't broke, ma'am, don't fix it. That's the best advice that I can give to you. And why the fuck do you care anyway? He don't care how big or how small you are. He love you for who you are. He's still there with you. Leave that man alone and just let him do his thing. Let your husband be your husband. Make it make sense, lady.
Why do so many people start a conversation and then ghost? I never say anything weird or be disrespectful at all. I have had several matches in which we have had conversations over the course of days that just abruptly end for no reason. I'll message back a day or two later to try and start another convo but get no response.
Okay, so you're on social media. You have to understand it's first come, first serve, high demand. So if you guys were talking back and forth, they want this conversation to go from who are you to are you in my area to let's meet up in an expedited fashion. If you take too long in your communications with them to meet them in person, to hook up, to formulate some kind of connection or attachment or something like that in person, they are going to lose interest extremely fast because there's already a bunch of people. You're on a dating platform. There's already a bunch of people interested in taking them out on a date. And because you're a man and she's a woman, she's going to have more men offering to take her on a date. And then she goes out on that date. And then she starts going out on frequent dates with the same person. She is not going to respond to the other men that were in her DMs until the man that she's currently on a trial basis with doesn't work out. Then she'll go back into her DMs and she'll go back and revisit some of the ones that she favorited because she's going to have thousands. I can tell you firsthand that dating platform probably got 2, 3, 4,000 messages, 20, 30 messages a day coming in at minimum. Not going to read them all. Not going to read them all. Not going to respond to most of them. Depending on the profile, depending on the characteristics, depending on the details of the profile, might respond to some. The profiles that look like they're legit serious about a real relationship kind of thing, the ones that might be looking for something more long-term, might reply to some, but not going to reply to all. The ones that you end up in a conversation with, if the conversation drops for a day or two, they've already moved on to talking to somebody else. They've checked the messages once, they've checked the messages twice, move on. Your message gets pushed down the list. They're not scrolling back all the time to see if you reply. Then you also got busy schedules. People got to work. Time passes. If y'all don't have each other's direct phone number or like Skype or WhatsApp or something like that, where y'all can shoot each other contacts directly to the phone off the app, where they don't have to log into the app to know that you sent them something, you're not gonna maintain that stable connection with that person. Well, not even a connection, that stable conversation that you have with that person. It's not going to be there. So you have to try to practice moving forward with the engagement to an in-person engagement, get direct contact for that person and try to formulate something in person in real time with that person, because that's going to be the only thing that's going to be substantial. Everything else is going to be insignificant and fleeting. And because it's insignificant and fleeting, there's going to be no value to it, and there's going to be no effort to maintain it. So that's all I have for you on that one.
My now ex broke up with me out of the blue. He's an avoidant. What should I do?
Good job for him. I told y'all on the show before, I said, when you get rid of these demons, you need to change the locks, lock the door, and sprinkle some salt in front of the door. when a man dumps you, ma'am, you have seriously done something wrong. Let's be real. People don't really admit this, especially women. A lot of times women got way more options than men, even though there's way more men than women. There are way more single men than there are single women, even though there's a large quantity of populated men in the United States than there are women in the United States. So the dynamic is far different. And because of that, there's probably 3 or 4 to 1 as far as having more men than women single in the United States. So, ladies, the issue that we have is that your opportunity to replace him is a lot easier than his opportunity to replace you. He's doing the best that he can to keep you. Okay. And if he's done everything that he can do and he's not happy in the relationship, but he's doing everything that he can do to keep you happy in the relationship, he recognizes that he's not happy in a relationship and then he leaves. Yeah, you royally screwed that one up. Yeah. And he left you instead of cheating on you with somebody else and keeping you. He just left you. So he's avoidant, meaning that he ain't trying to contact you or get engaged with you or any way, shape, or form. Good for him. High five and congratulations. You know, that's how you move on from somebody, is to get away from him and leave him alone. You're not done with him. And the other issue that we have is that not only are you not done with him, you weren't paying attention during the relationship, so you did not know that he was unhappy. You did not know that he was fed up with your behavior or your lack of behavior. And you did not know that he was ready to go, because people make up the mind to leave 3 to 6 months before they leave. So if he left you, quote unquote, out of the blue, that's because for the last 3 to 6 months, he was unsatisfied with you and you did not improve. He lingered to see if you would improve, and you didn't. In fact, you probably got worse. And when you got worse, he was like, fuck this shit, I'm out. I told you guys, 10 to 30% of men leave. 70 to 90% of women leave. Men stick it out for the long haul. But when a man leaves, you did something terrible, because if you notice that 70 to 90% of men are left by women after men have given everything they got to the situation, and they are traumatized and abused and mistreated and left there as baggage goods for the next woman to judge that man poorly because of how bad he was mistreated by the last woman. And this guy said, you know what? I'm not taking this shit. I'm gone. Bam, you really fucked up. So what should you do? Figure out what you did that caused him to go, and then fix that shit. Figure out what you didn't do. Figure out what you did do that he didn't want you to do. Was it just the fact that when he gave you instructions, you didn't follow them? You were not being a good partner. Were you not catering to his needs? What was it that he was unhappy about? Once you find that out, you'll figure out what the problem is, and then you can fix that for the next man. But there's no reason to go back. We have a comment on this one. We have a response on this one. So let's see what this gentleman has to say in response.
It's an out-of-the-blue dumping, and being blindsided is just horrendous. I begged and, if honest, stalked for 6 months. Then I went no contact. 8 months of no contact. And that means no stalking, no looking at social media, and I put my everything private. 8 months on, she's now trying to engage with me at a weekly run. I'm not being rude, say hello and keep walking. She's near me, looking and trying to start conversations. I've come so far now, I'm laughing and having fun at this weekly run, and she sees the friends I've made. I'm indifferent to her. Part of me wants her to say sorry, while another part wants everything to be as it was. But avoidance are a roller coaster to date. It's a mind-pound walking on eggshells, and I'm not sure I can go there again. But her trying to start a conversation is her way of being sorry. But I doubt she's done any work on herself, and these things repeat. Rinse and repeat. 6 months ago I would have been elated by her looking in my direction. No contact is difficult, but it's worth it.
There it is. The fact is that if you hover around your ex, the reasons why you two fell apart is not being fixed by either one of you. And if you guys are not fixing yourselves, if you got back together, you're not going to behave differently in a relationship. You're going to behave the same way that you behaved the first time, or the second time, or the fifth time that y'all got back together. You're going to behave the same way that you behaved the first time that caused you guys to fall apart. Since you're not going to improve your communication and you're not going to improve your decision-making skills to improve your ability to satisfy your partner, and in some situations, both of you are going to do the same thing towards each other, you're in a position where you are not going to be successful in this relationship if you give it another go. Which also means that it's not a good idea for you to give it another go. So being avoidant is the best way to go, because once you get this person out of your system, once you get this person away from you, you're good. You're able to move on with your life. But if you keep this person around and you're trying to have your exes as friends, that's only going to lead to rebounds, and those rebounds are going to lead you to rekindling negative feelings, which is going to lead you to toxic relationships. You're going to have your old toxic relationships negatively impacting your new toxic relationships, and you're going to have a very toxic lifestyle where your exes and your present are going to be battling it out about your attention. And I mean, only somebody that's egotistical is going to be okay with having people fight it out for their attention. So I strongly recommend that if you guys aren't working it out before you guys break up, and you guys break up, like, bro, like, let it go. Just let it go. Just drop the ball on that one. Be like, fuck it, I'm done. Let's go ahead and touch base on another one here.
My husband had an affair for 7.5 years. He was in love with her. He said they were just friends. He finally admitted the affair had ended and now wants to work on our marriage. Can he be in love with me again after loving her for so long?
Men are able to have multiple engagements with multiple people at the same time. Now, that doesn't mean that he is able to be in love with multiple people at the same time. You can only be in love with one person at a time. You can have love for multiple people at a time, but he could be in love with you and having sex with multiple women at the same time that he has no love for. He could be sexually attracted to them. He could love how he feels about being sexually attracted to them, but he is not in love with those people. Women are not okay with men having multiple partners, but since men are more interested in variety, I mean, it makes more sense for you to provide your man with variety than it does for you to complain about the fact that the man has had variety and then decided, no, I like my wife better. That's a double standard expectation, because a man is not going to say that a woman can have variety and, you know, it's going to be okay. If the woman has variety, then the man is going to say, nope, I'm out. I am not going to be one of many. So while I understand and respect that that is a double standard, if you're looking at the fact that if you guys can rekindle your marriage because the affair is over and now he's telling you about it. The affair was 7 years long, though. So that means that out of the 10 or 15 years that you guys have been married, he's been in a 7-year relationship with somebody else. The only thing I could tell you right now is ask yourself, was your marriage better when he had an extra person on the side? Or was it better before the extra person showed up? Now, women are going to say that that's a misogynistic thing to say, but no, think about it. Think about it. If he wasn't getting on your nerves and he wasn't complaining about lack of satisfaction for 7.5 years, then whatever you wasn't willing to do, the other chick was. But he stayed with you. Now, if you can get that type of setup again for the next 7.5 years, you can keep your husband happy without having to do the shit that you don't want to do. When women have non-negotiable expectations of not satisfying their husband, The only way to make sure that their husband doesn't leave them is if they find a way to get their husband satisfied on a supplementary level, which means that if you're not going to please them, get another woman to please them. That's the best I can tell you on that. I know some people are not going to like hearing that, but that's just the way it is. Oh, I see now we got a response from one of our fans that's going to comment on that.
I am going to ask you a question. That complicates this. It is one you may not like, but it is a very valid question. Is it possible for any human being to actually be in love, and I mean really be in love, with more than one person at the same time? What do you think? Think about that one for a bit. That is even before we bring the issue of intimacy or sex into the equation. Is it possible to actually be in love, and I mean really be in love, with more than one person at the same time? Is it possible that he loved you all along while he also loved someone else?
That's a really good question there. That's a really good question there. So I said before that you can only be really in love with one person at a time. And he could lust for multiple people, but he was really in love with only one person at a time. And if that's the case, if he was really in love with you throughout the whole marriage while he was dating somebody else during the marriage, then he never stopped loving you. He just stopped sleeping with you as often and started sleeping with somebody else more than he was sleeping with you. Now, take that for what it's worth, but that's the way it is. Let's see. I think we got at least one more question, one more comment. So let's go ahead and get through these.
If someone loves you, will they eventually come back after leaving you?
No, hell no. Not if they're smart. If a man loves you, he's not going to leave you. He's going to do everything he can to try to make the relationship work. While he's doing everything he can to try to make the relationship work, he's hoping that you're going to do everything that you can to try to make the relationship work. If in the event that he's doing everything that he can to try to make the relationship work and you are not doing anything that you need to do or not doing enough things that you should be doing to make the relationship work, if the relationship doesn't work, it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, then it's done. And when he leaves, he's not going back, because you're not trying to fix your half of the problems. If he's trying to fix his half of the problems and you're not doing your part in fixing your half of the problems, and he's going to leave, once he's gone, he's gone. He's not going to double back on you. Women double back on men, and women will double back on men because typically they're not leaving because the man is not treating her right. They typically leave because they're not getting what they want out of the man, the resources that they're expecting to get from the man. And then they'll stomp their feet and cross their arms and refuse to be in a relationship where a man's not going to cater to her expectations and her unrealistic desires. In those types of situations, the woman would then regret that decision because she's not going to find another man to provide for her the way that she's being provided for by the man that she left, and still put up with the negative behavior that she was giving the man that she left. Once she realizes that it's not going to work like that, then she's going to go back to the one that would put up with her negative behavior and still cater to her unrealistic expectation. That type of toxicity is not good for you as a man. That type of toxicity is not the type of relationship that women would want if the man was treating her that way. So in a situation where you're in a relationship, the relationship starts getting rocky. You guys start improving your communication. You guys start trying to apply yourselves to improve how you satisfy your partner, being a better you to satisfy your partner, because your partner is supposed to be doing everything in their power to be a better them to satisfy you. If that relationship folds, there is no going back. That person circles back because this is not a healthy relationship. And the toxicity that is in this relationship, they want it back. They're not coming back for positive reasons. There are some people that recognize that they left, but they're the one that screwed it up. They changed. There's a possibility that they could circle back and you guys could have a better relationship. But that's not likely the case. unless they truly change. Like we had the fans on the show about a month or so ago that the woman left the man because he was making her jealous. He was making her jealous because she was ignoring him. He was showing her love and affection, but she was not showing him love and affection. But she left him. Once she realized that while his behavior was inappropriate, the fact is that he was starving for attention and she wasn't providing it for him. Now that she understands that, if he takes her back, if she gives him more love and attention than he's ever received from her ever before, then he will see an improvement in her behavior and get the validation and recognition that he was looking for from the first relationship. And if she can maintain that for an extended period of time, then the relationship will find a positive, stable balance. But if she just gets back with him because she recognizes that he didn't get enough validation, she validates him for the first week or two that they got back together, and then she goes back to her old ways. But now she's going to put her foot down and say, you can't make me jealous. So he can't tell you that he's love starved. He can't tell you that he's emotionally deprived, which means that since he can't get you to show him the affection that he needs, he's going to go get it from somebody else. So he's going to stop making you jealous and start cheating on you. And then you guys are going to break up again. And the second time is always going to be worse than the first time. So it is a strong, high recommendation that you just don't put yourself in that situation. So, oh, yeah, that's right. We have a comment coming in on that. Let's go ahead and see what the comment is.
Oh my, no. In fact, though more by chance than anything else, people are much more likely to come back again if they don't love you than if they really did. Mainly because of simple childish lust, the classic hollerback scenario, than because they come to realize that you were always the one after all. It's a statistical thing, not a nature of human behavior thing. What matters most is why they left, not whether they love you or not. If they left because they realized that despite their real love, that they knew the two of your lives were incompatible, then they will stay away because they really love you.
Now, he's right also. He's right also. If in the event that you guys look at your failed relationships, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman, if you guys look at your failed relationships and you recognize the things that went south in your relationship, what I always give you guys the same advice. Fix yourself based on the mistakes that you made, your poor choices, whether you failed to attempt or took action when you shouldn't have. Once you recognize where you went wrong in your last relationship, you fix that for the next relationship. I will never advise you to go back to the last relationship. I say that if you decide that you go back and they accept you, you are going to have to try way harder the second time around than what you did the first time around. And that is going to be a harder. It's like if you were golfing and you were supposed to be maintaining a relationship at par, and your expectation is to get under par, but you've already went out of bounds 2 or 3 times. Now you're over par. You have to try harder now to get back under par. And the fact is that the harder it is to get them, the harder it is to keep them. The harder it is to get them back, the harder it is to keep them. So once it fails out the first time, just let it be, learn from it, and do better and be better in the next one. That is the best thing for you. So with that being said, we've gone through all of the questions, comments, statements for the Sunday night podcast. I'm going to keep things a bit short today. I got a lot of back office stuff that I got to do, got to tend to. I really appreciate you guys coming. I really appreciate the extra fans for joining in on TikTok and signing up on the membership, or actually you guys actually jumped in and followed us, not sign in on the membership, but we're going to get you guys to start signing in on memberships. So while we really appreciate you guys for jumping in, I'm going to ask you guys that are on Twitch and on YouTube to like and subscribe. And I'm also going to ask you guys to check us out 7 days a week. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about a lot of other things like the NFTs versus crypto. We're going to be talking about the Olympics. We're going to be talking about quite a few things. We're actually going to be trying to go over the football stuff that's changed for 2024 from 2023. So we've got a few things lined up, and we're going to try to get a few dozen more things lined up along the way. So while we're working on that, I strongly recommend that you guys keep a weather eye on a YouTube platform. And if you're not on YouTube, make sure that you make your way over there to YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, boost up the show, get those notifications so that you know 30 minutes before we're going live that we're about to go live, so that you can clear your schedule and make yourself available for the show. Outside of that, I really appreciate you guys coming in. Look at Chicago Twink. I appreciate you coming in towards the end of the show. We're going to be wrapping things up. Look at that. We're going to be wrapping things up for today. So all I got to tell you guys now is, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, make it make sense. And as we sign out of TikTok, I really appreciate you guys coming for Twitch as well as Twitter and YouTube. So appreciate you guys. You guys did a good job coming in. We had a pretty decent followership today. So we are we're looking at sync issues with the audio. Gotta do maintenance on the TikTok platform. Not a big fan of their TikTok studio. But for the rest of you guys that are on Twitch and YouTube, I really appreciate you guys coming. Thank you again. I'm your host, Xander, on This and That, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.